Hi guys, it's me Terry of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. I was working on some scrap crochet granny squares, and I had a couple of requests from some of my viewers that are beginner crocheters, and they asked me to just do a basic granny square tutorial. So I thought I would take you along with me as I make one, okay? Okay, so I'm using a different color for each round. You don't have to do that. You can make a granny square all one color like I did. I started working on this one, see? But for this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and change colors each round because it makes such a pretty colorful granny square, in my opinion. Okay, so for my first round, for my granny squares, I have this scraps of yarn that I'm going to be using. For my first round, I'm going to start with this, I believe this is turquoise, Red Heart Super Saver. I'm using an H hook. It's a 6mm hook, and of course I will need scissors for when I change colors. Okay, so we first start with a slip knot. Okay? Now, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Now, we're going to insert our hook into the very first chain that we made. And we're going to pull the yarn through and make a slip stitch all the way through the loop we inserted our hook into and the working yarn. Okay, so if you pull it apart, you can see that made a ring there. Okay, so we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in this granny square, when I chain 3, that's going to count as a double crochet. So I chained 3, and I'm going to double crochet back into the ring that I just made, and I'm going to work over this the straggler, my end here, and that will save us time in weaving in our ends. Okay, so I'm making a double crochet. Okay, so now I have 2. I have the chain 3, that's like my first double crochet, and then I have one more double crochet, and now I'm going to do one more double crochet. Okay, so now that's my first set of 3 double crochets, because as you can see in the granny squares that I'm making, there are groupings of 3 double crochets. Okay, so this is going to be my first one. So now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets back into the ring. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, chain 2. Now I'm going to do 3 more double crochets back into the same ring. 1, 2, still working over my end tail, okay, and 3. Okay, so as you can see, the chain 2s are actually helps us to turn the corner to make a square shape. So chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same loop there that we've been working in. 2 and 3. Okay, and to form our last corner, we need to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that we started with. Okay, so we just go right in the top of that chain 3, insert our hook, and do a slip stitch to join. Okay, so there's our first round of our granny square. So now I'm going to change colors. So snip off my yarn. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1 and then pull it all the way through to fasten off. Okay, now I'm going to pick my next color, and I'm not sure what this is. Some type of bright yellow. It's just some of my scraps. Okay, so I like to join, when I start each round, I like to always start in a corner, okay? Now this tail, we can try working over some of it, which I should be able to see because I made it long enough. So I'll work over some of it, and then whatever is left, I will, at the end of my granny square, then I will take a yarn needle and weave in my ends, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start with a slip stitch in my new color, okay? And then I'm going to take my square and I'm going to start in the corner. So I insert my hook into the corner space, and then I do a slip stitch to join my yarn. Okay, now chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to actually be working over this yarn straggler where I cut the yarn, and then also my yellow color that I've just joined. Okay, I'm going to work over both of those tails. Okay, so I chain 3. That's my first double crochet. I need 2 more to make my first 3 double crochet set or grouping. So into that same corner, I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. 1 and 2. Okay, now since this is a corner, I want my work to turn, so I'm going to do 2 chains, 1 and 2. Okay, that is my first half of that corner. Now I need to do 3 more double crochets into that same corner hole there, corner space. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now the remaining of the tail here that I haven't worked over, I'm just going to let that be in the back, and I will weave those in at the end of my, when I get finished with my square. Okay, so now we always do, the way I like to do it, I like to put a chain between my 3 double crochet groupings. It's just in the corners I put a chain 2, okay? But this is going to be across the side, and so I'm only going to chain 1. And then I'm going to go right into the next corner, and I'm going to do a 3 double crochet grouping. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Pull out some yarn there. Okay, and now I'm going to turn the corner, and so when I turn the corner, I always like to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and now another 3 double crochet grouping into that corner to finish that off. Finish forming that corner. Okay, so now I'm going to go across the side, and so I'm just going to chain 1. Okay, now I'm going to do 3 double crochet grouping into the next corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now I'm going to chain 2 because I'm going to turn the corner, and so I'm going to do now my second 3 double crochet grouping, because you're always going to have 2 3 double crochet groupings in each corner. Okay, so that's completed my third corner. Now I'm going across the side, so I'm only going to chain 1, and then do another shell or 3 double crochet grouping into the last corner space of round 1. Okay, so there's 3, and then I'm going to chain 2 because I'm turning the corner, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets back into that same corner space to complete my corner. Okay, now I'm going to go across this side, so I'm going to only chain 1, and now all I need to do is join this round. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, my first chain 3 that I made for this round. Okay, so there's the completion of round 2. So I'm going to change colors again. So I'm going to snip my yarn. I'm going to chain 1 and then just pull it all the way through to fasten off, and then I'll pull it to tighten it up. Okay, for round 3 I'm going to join this red color. I'm going to use this red. Okay, so I'm going to join with my slip stitch onto my hook to get it on the hook, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start in the corner space by doing a slip stitch to join the yarn onto the square, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and remember that is the chain 3 is the first double crochet. Okay, so working over my yarn tails, I'm going to do 2 more double crochets, which will make a 3 double crochet grouping into that corner. Okay, now I'm turning the corner, so I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do another 3 double crochet grouping into that same corner space to complete my corner of this new round. And 3. Okay. Now I'm going to push those tails to the back because I'll weave in those when I'm finished with the square. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1 because I'm going across a side. Okay, so now we have that on this new round on round 2 we created this space when we chained 1 before, and so we want to do a 3 double crochet grouping on this in this side space. Okay, so 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then chain 1, and now we're into the next corner, so we're going to do 3 double crochet grouping into that corner space. And now since we are in the corner, we want to turn the corner. Ooh, okay, we need to chain 2, and then now we're going to do 3 double crochets to complete that corner, a 3 double crochet grouping into that corner space. See? Okay, so now we're going to chain 1 because we're going across the side, and we have this space right there, so we need to do a 3 double crochet grouping into that one. Oops. So let's do that one again. My yarn split. Okay, so a 3 double crochet grouping, 1, 2, and 3. We're still going across the side, so we want to chain 1, and now we're back into a corner again, so we're going to do a 3 double crochet grouping, 1, 2, 3, and then we're turning the corner. We're turning the corner, so we're going to do chain 2, and then a 3 double crochet grouping back into that same corner space. Okay, and now we are ready to go across the side again, so we're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets into that side space from the row before. Okay, and we're going to chain 1 because we're still on the side, and now we're in a corner, and we're going to do a 3 double crochet grouping, 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2, which will help us turn the corner. Sorry, I'm fighting with this yarn here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're going to go across the very last side here, so we're going to chain 1 and then do a 3 double crochet grouping into that side space. And there's our third one, and then we're going to chain 1 because we're going across the side, and we are now ready to join, and we join with a slip stitch at the top of the first chain 3 that we did for this round. Okay, and now we're going to take our scissors, cut our yarn, leaving a little tail there, and then chain 1 and pull through to finish it off, and then we're going to tighten it, okay, to lock it into place. Okay. And as you see, the ones I've been doing 4 round granny squares. So for our 4th round, I'm gonna use this green color. Same thing, join with the slip stitch, our yarn, insert our hook into the corner, and we're working over these ends, okay? So slip stitch to attach it, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then working over the tails. We're going to do 2 more double crochets to start our chain 3 double crochet grouping, okay? And then chain 2 because we're in the corner, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, Okay, now remember, we're going across the side, so we're going to chain just one. And now we have, push those out of the way. Okay, so now we have 2 holes on the side. See that? So we're going to do a 3 double crochet grouping with a chain 1 in between for both of those. See? So 3 double crochet grouping here. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 because we're going across the side, and then 3 double crochet grouping into the next hole, the next space there. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're still going across a side, so we're going to chain 1, and now we're into another corner, so we're going to do our corner space with 3 double crochet grouping, with a 3 double crochet grouping, and then a chain 2, and then 3 double crochets back into the same space. Okay, so then as you see how we were doing it, now you're going to chain 1 because we're going to go across this side. We're going to have a 3 double crochet grouping into this space right there, and then chain 1, and then a 3 double crochet grouping into the next space, and then chain 1, and then we'll be at this side to do another shell. Okay, so you work this side on your own, and I'll meet you up in this corner right there. Okay, so now see, I'm started my corner. I've did these 2 3 double crochet groupings, chaining 1 in between because I'm on the side. Now I'm working on my corner. I did my first 3 double crochet grouping, but now since it's in the corner, I'm going to chain 2 and then do my second 3 double crochet grouping to complete the corner. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now we're going to just repeat what we did. We're going to since we're on the side, we're going to be chaining 1, and then we're going to do a 3 double crochet grouping right there in this space, and then chain 1, and then a 3 double crochet grouping in that space, and then chain 1, and then we're back in the corner again. Remember, in the corners you're going to do a 3 double crochet grouping and then chain 2 to help you turn the corner, and then 3 double crochet grouping back in there again. Okay, and then you repeat for this side. So keep going, working on this, and I will meet you up at the end of this round. Okay, so I'm now finished my 4th round, and I'm getting ready to finish it off by slip stitching into the top of the chain 3 that will join that round. Okay, and now I'm going to use my scissors, cut off a tail there, leave a little tail, and then chain 1, and then pull it all the way through to finish it off. Snug up the yarn to lock it into place. Okay, so there is my 4-row granny square, and it will go along with my other 4-row granny squares that I have, and then I'll show you what I'm making. Okay, so I'm putting together all my 4-row granny squares, and I'm putting a border around them and connecting them together to make a scrap blanket. Okay, so if you want to know how I join these together, I will put a link in the description box below of how I did it. It is a join as you go method that I really enjoy using, and I use it quite often. And like I said, I did a tutorial on that, on how I join these together in another video, and so I will link that tutorial below if you want to also make this project. Okay, so that is my tutorial for how to make a basic granny square. Of course, I have these ends that I need to weave in now, but that's how you do it. And you can keep continuing on. You can make it as large as you want, or however many rounds you want. You can make it all one solid square if you want a solid color, if you don't want to change rounds. And the only thing you would do is, instead of cutting your yarn and finishing it off, you would just keep the same yarn on your hook. And then what I would do is you go ahead and do the same thing where you slip stitch to join at the top of this chain 3, but then in order to get yourself into the corner, you would just slip stitch in the top of the next stitch, and then slip stitch again in the top of the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the corner, and then you would start your chain 3 and you would continue on just like the way I was showing you here. Okay, if you want to do just a solid color, like if you have some variegated yarn that you would like to use to do a project with a granny square stitch, or just a solid color, or however you want to do it. You can do 2 rounds of one color and then change, however you want your color scheme to go. Okay, the granny square is very special to me, because that is the very first thing that I ever learned how, when I was learning how to crochet, that was the very first thing that I made. In fact, when my sister, well, my friend at the time, she's now my sister-in-law, when she taught me how to crochet, that's what she taught me. She taught me a chain, and then we went directly into making a granny square. I didn't do swatches to learn the stitch. I learned a chain, a slip stitch, and then the double crochet was my next one, next thing that I learned as I was making a granny square. So quite an interesting process, but that's how I learned. So that's it, guys. So thanks for watching another tutorial, and I hope this helps those that didn't know how to do a granny square to learn how to do it and have confidence in doing it and making it your own, however you want to do one. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!